Mike Evans is the author of a fascinating book called Jimmy Carter, The Liberal Left and World Chaos, an Obama-Carter Plan That Will Not Work. Fascinating. Mike, welcome to the Young Turks.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you.
All right. Now, Mike, this book's not really so much about Obama, is it? It's mainly about Jimmy Carter.
Mainly about Jimmy Carter, and more importantly, it's about the democratic policies that were implemented in the Middle East and the crisis it created for the world.
Okay. So, is there anything that relates to Obama or no?
Oh, of course. There are several chapters on Obama. The basic fundamentals of the book have to do with ideology, worldview, and they're similar. Let's talk about the similarities. Jimmy Carter ran on the basis of hope and change. Obama ran on hope and change. Jimmy Carter ran against an unpopular president and an unpopular war, Nixon in Vietnam. Obama ran against Bush, unpopular war, Iraq. A lot of fundamentals exactly the same.
Well, it's easy to run against unpopular Republicans, right? But that doesn't go to the
No.
content.
Unpopular president, unpopular war. Jimmy Carter had the House supporting him. Obama has the House supporting him. They're the same ideological worldviews. They see the world the same. Example, case in point, Afghanistan. Hillary goes to Afghanistan in about a week and a half, and they're going to have a summit. Now, who's been invited to the summit? The world terrorist state, Iran, who's funding Hamas and Hezbollah terrorist organizations, and calls Israel a stinking corpse that needs to be wiped off the map. And she said that the moderate Taliban needs to be part of it so we can help win the war. The moderate Taliban cut Daniel Pearl's head off. They behead Christians and Jews. They burn homosexuals alive, and they throw acid in the face of little girls for going to school. So this is an ideological belief system.
Mike, let's take those one at a time. First off, the people who did the beheadings and the acid throwing are not the moderate Taliban. They're the extreme Taliban. Now,
No. Wait a second.
All right, go ahead.
What is it? Please explain to me what a moderate Taliban is.
Now, Mike, you know, this is the point where we are closest to agreement. On the show, I said earlier, you know, I'm a little worried about this because I'm not convinced that there is a great deal of moderation within the Taliban. But let me ask you if you think that that's an interesting idea anyway, based on what we went through in Iraq. You know, it would have been easy to say there are no moderate Sunni rebels who are fighting us. They're killing our soldiers. They plant the IEDs. They hung people from the bridge in Fallujah. These guys are the worst of the worst. But it turned out negotiating with them turned out to be a great idea because it helped to quell the violence in Iraq, didn't it?
No, but they didn't. I've been to Iraq. I've been there many times. I've been on state invitations by President Barzani. It wasn't the people that hung the soldiers that were doing that we were working with. And we weren't working.
That's not true. That's not
Excuse
true.
me. These were Sunni fundamentalists, but these were not war criminals. We didn't go to war criminals, did we? Do you know any war criminals that we went ahead and engaged?
Mike, we have no idea what all the different people that we struck deals with, what IEDs they planted before or didn't plant before, or who they...
Of course we don't, but we know for a fact that the Taliban was aiding Osama bin Laden. We saw it on television.
No, I know, but I'm asking you about this. Look, the thing is, I'm telling you, on the Taliban, I'm significantly concerned. But can you see the other side is my question. Can you see how, look, sometimes you got to deal with people that are very unsavory.
It's not the same. Number one, I've been 37 years in the Middle East. This is my life. This is all I do. The Middle East, you have radical Islam. The majority of Muslims are peaceful. In spite of what people say, it's not true. They're peaceful. But about 10% of the Islamic world is, in fact, fundamentalist. Out of the 10%, you have about 1% of the 10% that is radical. Now, what numbers is that? That's around 10 million out of 1.3 billion. But out of the 10 million, let's go to maybe a 10% of the 10%. So maybe you've got 100,000 that want to really cut your head off and really kill you, 911 mentality people. The problem that we have is these individuals, this 100,000 or 10,000, whatever you want to call, 19 of them destroyed our nation, hit New York City, tried to wipe us out, the Pentagon, etc. 19. We can't show weakness with these radical nutcases that want to destroy us, because if we show weakness, they will prey on us. They will.
All right, Mike, you brought up a number of issues there again. Let me try to take it one at a time. With all due respect on the 1% and the 10% and all that stuff, those numbers are made up.
No, they're not. Listen,
where did you get them?
I got them from Muhammad Ali Khalid, the commander-in-chief of the Saudi multinational forces, which I traveled with during the Persian Gulf War.
Where's that study? Where's that study?
In Dhahran. He was the governor of Dhahran. I said to Muhammad, and we were talking about this, he said, don't exaggerate. It's not more than 10%. Don't exaggerate.
So it's one guy in Saudi Arabia who told you it's not more than 10%. But there's no study,
the guy that told me happened to be the commander-in-chief of the multinational forces, the Syrian, Egyptian, and Saudi
So it's not
Air Force.
based on any scientific study or anything like that, any research.
No,
it's
it
just
is.
a guy in Saudi Arabia.
We don't have time for that. Listen,
we don't have time for science. Okay.
We don't know. No, come on.
Okay,
Don't
all right.
go
So
there.
no. Here's why. Here's why, Mike.
Mike.
Mike. Here's why. Okay, you're saying you're pulling out these numbers to make it seem like there's 10 million or a million or 100,000 of these guys, and you say hence we cannot negotiate with any of these guys. But look at Iran. Even using your numbers. So because there are maybe 19 people or 10,000 people, whatever, that we can't negotiate with the state at all?
Whoa. What are you talking about with Iran? Iraq, you mean? You said Iran.
No, Iran. You're saying we shouldn't deal with Iran at all, right? Because you said we shouldn't even invite them to talk about Afghanistan.
You can't take a terrorist state that's been responsible for almost 20,000 attempted suicide attacks in the Middle East and invite them to fight terror.
Of course you can. You know how I know that? It's because we did it before, even under Bush. During the Bush administration, in the beginning, Iran helped us more than any other country when we were fighting against Afghanistan. Why?
That is not true.
It is true.
No, it's not true.
If the people inside the Bush administration have said it on the show, and they've printed it.
Tell it to Charlie Manson. It's just not true. Listen, Ayatollah Khomeini was sitting on his fat cat in Najaf, Iraq, when Jimmy Carter's Cyrus Vance, Secretary of State, started helping him. Now, they helped him in Paris. They were sending money to the man because Andrew Young said he's going to be a Gandhi-like figure. Well, Ayatollah Khomeini didn't become a Gandhi-like figure. Almost 1 million children under the age of 12 ended up dead between the Iran-Iraq war. Compliments of Ayatollah Khomeini in his martyrdom program.
Look, tell it to Idi Amin. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of Jimmy Carter or anyone associated saying that Ayatollah Khomeini is going to be like Gandhi. I've never heard that. But
read my book.
I know, of course. Mike, here's the thing. Can you understand that Iran is against the Sunnis that are in the Taliban and Al-Qaeda? That those same people are trying to topple the Iranian government. Hence, Iran would have self-interest in working with us against the Taliban. Do you get that?
No, I don't get that.
Okay.
And the reason I don't get that is because I'm in the Middle East and work with the primary players. What I do get is that you have Sunni Gulf oil states that are scared to death of a nuclear Shia state because the moment it goes nuclear, they're going to have to go nuclear because the Gulf is 200 miles across, and they're all Sunnis.
I know, but do you understand that we could work to avoid that while at the same time working with them on joint interests, and that's how diplomacy and negotiation work?
Please tell me how we do that, because I met with the director of the Nuclear Atomic Agency in Israel, and he's telling me by the end of this year, as the UN is saying it right now, by the end of this year, Iran will be atomic. Please tell me how we can put them under the sheets with us while they're trying to build an atomic bomb.
Well, those are two separate issues, and by the
way...
they're
not.
Hold on. But you know what the thing is? If we talk to them, maybe we can make them joint issues and say, hey, look, we know that you have an interest against the Taliban. We'll work with you in that regard, and we'll work with you in other regards because they need plane parts, etc.
Sounds like Chamberlain.
Hold on. If you agree to, get rid of your uranium enrichment program.
Come on.
Okay, no. So, Mike, your ultimate point is, no, we cannot negotiate since they're, primary evil. That's it. We should never talk to them. So then how do we get anything accomplished? Then they're going to build a bomb, and then you lose.
Listen, you have a terrorist state. The terrorist state has 12 million twelvers, followers of the 12th Imam, led by the president, who thinks he's going to usher him in. He's of John the Baptist. I know. I was in an Intercontinental Hotel with his...
I got it. You were in the Middle East. I got it.
No,
there's a lot of people in the Middle East.
No, it wasn't the Middle East. The Intercontinental Hotel was New York City when he came there for the UN. I met with his diplomats. They told me he's going to usher in the Mahdi within 2 to 3 years. His spiritual advisor.
Mike, a lot of people thought George Bush believed in end times, and hence was going to usher in Armageddon. Yeah. Okay, look, they have to have action, okay? You have to say, you can't say, I think that guy might be crazy, like Bush might have been crazy, so we're going to go, what are you going to do? What's your solution? Bomb them because you think they might bomb others?
Have you been to Israel?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, I was in Israel during the Hezbollah war. I was in Israel during the Hamas war. During the Hezbollah and Hamas war, we're talking about over 20,000 freaking rockets dropped on the heads of innocent Jews by Iran. Hezbollah and Hamas are states within a states controlled completely by Iran.
Look, you're telling me that Iran and Israel are enemies. I get that. What I'm telling you is you don't get to negotiate with your buddies. I mean, you can, but it's not going to do you any good. We agree? We agree. Great. Fantastic. You negotiate with your enemies. Ronald Reagan negotiated with the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union believed in mutual assured destruction. There was a way to rationalize with them and reason with them. You're talking about a group of people.
You really believe that everybody in Iran is well, I shouldn't say everybody. I don't think you believe that. But the government of Iran they're all mental, and that they're on hair trigger and they can't wait to nuke everybody. I mean, you really believe that?
The government of Iran is made up of clerics. The Islamic clerics are called the Revolutionary Guard.
They've been called that since 1979, and they haven't started any wars.
Pardon me?
No, wait a minute now.
What do you mean start any war?
They haven't.
8.5-year Iran-Iraq war, a Hezbollah war.
Iraq started that. Iraq started that, and we encouraged them. But you got to get your facts straight, Mike. You know Iraq started that war.
Hamas and Hezbollah were not started by Iran.
Well, look, I believe they do have Iran funding. Now, who started the wars in Lebanon and in Gaza Strip, we can argue till the nights come home. But am I happy that they're funding Hamas and Hezbollah? No. But does that mean that they're out to destroy the world? No.
Listen, if you go to Lebanon, which I've been there, you find out that you have to go within a state within a state. There's a security apparatus for Iran in which you have to show your State Department to get into West Beirut. Iran controls it.
Okay. So when did Iran start a war then? I still don't get it. I mean, look, Mike, what's your solution? Okay. So if we can't talk to them, and the bomb is coming, which, by the way, Secretary Gates disagrees with, and he was on the record on that, because they're not enriching the uranium and weaponizing it. They have the uranium, which I'm not happy about. That's why I want to stop it. So you tell me, how do you stop this? I literally don't know what your proposal is.
Well, number one, the book is Jimmy Carter, the Liberal Left in World Chaos. The book deals with exactly how the liberal left sees the Middle East, how they've dealt their appeasement plans, and what it created. Number one, you cannot, with Iran, you cannot reward terror. You can't reward it. You can't reward it because if you reward it, they will hurt you. Iran right now, we have cards we could play.
Mike, this is the same old stuff we can't ever talk to anybody because if we talk to them, it's rewarding them. The Soviet Union was aggressive in Korea. They were aggressive in Vietnam. They were aggressive in Latin America. We would be rewarding their aggressiveness if we ever talk to them.
You know what? You have children.
No, I don't. And they have never been to the Middle East.
Well, I have 4 children, and I have 6 grandchildren. And I can tell you this, I've been to at least 100 funerals. And the people that they kill, they don't kill them over land. They kill them over bigotry. They hate them because they're Christians or they're Jews.
So what do you want to do, Mike?
Number one, you have to listen, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
On the question of Iran, the first thing you cannot do is you can't follow Jimmy Carter's example. He screwed it up bad. If you deal with them, it's with moral clarity. What do you have to do? You don't invite them to Afghanistan to fight terror when they're a terrorist state. Not. Number two, you recognize that they're in trouble economically. They need $85 oil to meet their budget. Their oil right now is $50. They depleted an enormous amount of money. Over $50 billion in reserves is gone. $50 billion with a B. Mm-hmm. Now, what you do is you deal with the realities on the ground. Iran has to import its oil because they don't have refineries. You can get cooperation from the Sunni states to break Iran's back economically, to force Iran to stop the program. Example, Russia's building their reactors. You can get pressure on the Soviet Union from the Sunni states because the Sunnis don't want those reactors. There's ways to deal with this, but
so,
you don't
Mike,
deal with it by rewarding.
Do you realistically believe that we're going to go to Iran and we're going to break their back, and then after we do, they're going to say, okay, Uncle, you win, we'll stop enriching uranium.
We're too weak to do that, but I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with Iran. Monday you're going to get an announcement that Benjamin Netanyahu is the new prime minister. The minister of defense will be Moshe Yaalon, the former chief of staff. The state of Israel is going to have to be forced by themselves in the next 12 months to destroy the hard targets. There's 1,100 of them.
Okay, so
in
Mike,
the same
your
way
answer.
As Menachem Begin did it in Iraq, in the nuclear reactor in Iraq, it's going to have to happen if we don't stand up to these people.
That's what I thought. So, Mike, your answer is they're so crazy that they'll go to war at any minute. Hence, we have to go to war against them first.
If you go to Iraq sometime, I encourage you to go. If you go to Iraq, you'll find out the second largest embassy in Iraq is Iranian. The second
Yes, because they're Shiite. It makes perfect sense.
in Iraq is Iranian, and the second largest army in Iraq is Iranian, called the Mahdi Army.
They're actually Iraqis, but they do get funding apparently from Iran. Yes, Iraq is mainly a Shiite state, and so is Iran. That's the most logical thing in the world. So why does that mean we have to invade Iran?
Muqtada al-Sadr is living in Iran, giving his orders into Iraq. He's killed many of our guys.
The Mahdi army right now has a truce with the government. So what? So that's a good thing.
When we leave Iraq and we're completely out, the allies are in trouble. The Kurds, the Sunnis,
So you want to start another war before we leave?
No, what I'm telling you is that the government officials that I've met with have told me they're deeply worried about the allies that have supported America, that they could end up like the Cambodians if we pull out too quickly, that the radicals will come in and kill them. Assassination.
So we don't want more killing, so we're going to bomb Iran. Is that right?
You're talking about Iraq or Iran?
Iran. You said Israel had to attack Iran, so we don't want more killing, so we have to bomb Iran. Is that your idea?
We're setting up a scenario that Israel will have no options.
Oh, no options, of course.
Whenever you setting it up.
Mike, in the history of the world, I've never seen anyone start a war and say, "Oh, I had a lot of options, but I decided to start one anyway." They always say, "I had no options. I had to go in."
Excuse me. Do you have any idea why 9/11 happened?
I have a pretty good idea. But what do your sources in the Middle East tell you?
Why did it happen?
It happened because of Muslim fundamentalist radicals that are not attached to any state and that had absolutely nothing to do with Iran or Iraq decided to bomb us. And partly because of their concerns now, some of them are wholly illegitimate and some of them are shared by a wider group of people in the Middle East, including the fact that Israel is occupying land in the Middle East.
And the gentleman who funded those Muslim extremists, it was the Muslim Brotherhood funded with $50 million, compliments of a Democrat, liberal left liar and lunatic, Jimmy Carter, in which he gave them arms from the French and the Chinese. And that organization, the Muslim Brotherhood organization, ultimately became known as Al-Qaeda. Osama was on the payroll.
All right, last thing, because we're out of time, and we're talking to Mike Evans. His book is Jimmy Carter, The Liberal Left and World Chaos, an Obama-Carter Plan That Will Not Work. Mike, are you aware that Ronald Reagan funded the Mujahideen, which turned into Al-Qaeda, far more than Jimmy Carter ever did or could hope to?
Oh, as a matter of fact, you're correct about that. You're talking about $10 billion matched by the Saudis.
All right, so then why didn't you write a book about how terrible and dangerous Ronald Reagan is?
I wrote a book about it. I've written 38 books. I'll send you a copy of it if you want it.
All right, okay, fair enough. I'm looking forward to the anti-Ronald Reagan book.